the organ donation platform, they got to make a lot of organization puns in their corporate emails, right?
I mean, if not, it's a real missed opportunity.
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, the us winning that one softball championship to us winning a second softball championship. It's Adam Amawala. How's it going?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, honestly, listen, I'm at an age where there's only so many things I can celebrate athletically anymore. That was one of the better moments of my adult recreational sports playing life.
It was a huge one. Adam came up super duper clutch with a absolutely crucial 2-run double in a tie game in the 5th inning of a 7-inning game. Absolutely needed it from a team perspective, and it was amazing and incredible and awesome. And I appreciate now that basically in our one championship game, I had the really, really good game, and then in our second one, you had the really, really good game. So we've each brought things to the table, and were major factors in bringing home the gold, and by the gold, I mean the gold-plated plastic.
We are going to be playing in a fall league, and I suggest that we balance this out by both of us having a phenomenal final game.
Yeah, that'd be good. I would like that a lot because, yes, this will be running it back with our lawyer team, which is fun. So the team is all lawyers, and then me and Adam. So it made for some good stuff. But yes, we are champions of softball, but we're here to talk about basketball. So let's get ready to talk about basketball in a place that we like to call the Teal Memorial Locker Room. The Teal Memorial Locker Room always comes through in the clutch. When you're stinky, it's there for you.
I like that motto.
You know who else is not stinky?
Probably our patrons. I actually feel like they smell pretty good.
Yes, I've been in the same room as some of them, and I've never thought they smell bad. So shout out to our producer level patrons, Polly Bird, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Toko Jessic, Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry for 3 is now commemorated on a shirt Adam bought from an Instagram ad.
It's true. The Instagram ads rarely work on me, but I did share this photo with you and our buddy Chris. It is the Steph go to sleep pose from the Olympics, and it arrived yesterday, and frankly, I'm pretty happy with it.
Is the quality good? Because it did look like a cool shirt, but Instagram ad stuff, I'm always so scared. I'm always scared I'm going to order it, and then it's going to be like when you get something off of like...
For sure.
What was it before Temu? It was AliExpress. I did that once in college off AliExpress, like the original, and I tried to get some skinny jeans, and they were so skinny that I gave them to my girlfriend at the time. Luckily, they fit her, but they were tight.
Yeah, no,
they
you
were
definitely, you can't be getting jeans on those sites, but I'll have you know, I'm about to go to a Brooklyn Cyclones game in Coney Island. I'm currently wearing a pretty nice Jackie Robinson jersey that I bought from AliExpress.
I could tell you were going to a not Cubs baseball game, given that you were wearing a Jackie Robinson jersey, which is what you always do.
But the answer is, well, first I had a shirt, but then I was like, I love this shirt.
Now you've got the full
jersey. The full thing. It's a great, like, I'm not going to see my team, but this is a cool jersey to wear to a
it's like if you wear
game.
A Space Jam one to a basketball game. No one can get mad at you. At least, no one would be like, fuck Jackie Robinson.
I mean, you know what? Maybe.
Back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Not in Brooklyn, you wouldn't think. But to answer the original question, the quality seems pretty good for the Steph shirt, so I'm happy with it.
That's
anyway.
Good. Now, I will have to give a quick ad for the Steph Curry thing because I did a recent live show for TNO in Atlanta.
Okay.
And Eileen, who is one of my TNO patrons, also helped run the merch table. And me and my co-host of the show for that show, Michael Bagels from a bagel spot in Atlanta, she was like, I promise these are good. New York people say they're good. They were good. And then on the bag wrote a Steph Curry for 3 joke for us to use in an episode. So this one was inspired by what they brought. This was scal cheese for wheat because I asked for scallion cream cheese, my favorite type.
It's wildly
and
specific.
It was on a wheat bagel. So Eileen had like multiple iterations, like on the napkin was all the rough drafts of the different versions of making it. But yes, in addition to you getting the commemorative shirt off Instagram, I would also like to submit scal cheese for wheat. Bang.
Love
and then hi Trish, Chase Underilo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby is a vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs boy, balls to the walls, and Mott's Furley.
Alrighty.
You know who else is not stinky because with their funds we can buy deodorant?
I would say our sponsor.
Our sponsor's Tab for a Cause. Super not stinky. We'll do our tab check after I describe what it is. You go to tab4acause.org/horse. You click it, and in a couple of clicks, you are installed, and it works across multiple browsers. And then every time you open a tab, you get a pretty picture of something, and then you might see some ads, but those ads raise money for charity, and you get to pick which charity they go to. So it's very cool. How many tabs do you have open, Adam? I've got 2. No, I have 3. My apologies.
I'm not even going to count. I just know it's a lot, and that is a good thing.
Okay. There you are, because you're helping raise money for charity. So yes, again, you can go to tab4acause.org to get that set up and start turning your tab monsterness into tab goodness. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors, make it feasible for us to not lose money making this podcast. And once those ads are complete, we will continue this episode of Horse. And we're back. Adam, anything new going on?
As I record this right now, I'm about to go to South Korea. You can't come, but I'm going to be there, and I'll tell you how it was the next time we record. But in terms of things that you can actually attend, on the weekend of September 26th through 28th, I'm going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, doing some shows. I'm still working on a Philly date. I'm hoping that's going to be sometime in November. Stay tuned for that. Then I'm going to be headlining the Arlington Draft House in Arlington, Virginia. That's in the D.C. area. That is on Thursday, November 7th, one show only. It looks like I am going to be doing some shows in Toronto the weekend of November 21st through 23rd. And then, I think these are new, December 6th and 7th, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, doing some Don't Tell comedy shows. The following weekend, I'm going to be in Connecticut. And then in January, I'm going to be headlining Zany's Old Town in Chicago on Sunday, January 12th. More dates to come, I'm sure, but that's what I've got for now. What about you?
I've got the same stuff that I have announced, but we are adding an Austin, Texas live show to the mix on December 16th. So that has been added, or at least will be added. I think we're going to actually have tickets go live later in September, but that at least has been confirmed. And then I've got other stuff coming up like New York and DC and Toronto and Dallas and a bunch of other stuff. So go to schub.es/tour to check out the live shows that I've got coming to you.
Sweet.
Now, do we have an MBQ&A?
We do, yeah. So we got an email from Benji. The subject says Paralympics, and the email says, "Hey, love the show. Don't watch basketball, but I work at a place where everyone does, so you're my main information source. Make sure to fact check us. Sometimes we're wrong." The question says, watching the US/AUS, I'm assuming that's Australia, not Austria.
Yes.
US-Australia men's wheelchair basketball game, and wondering if you're going to cover it. So I'll be honest, I don't know the result of that game. I don't know what happened, but it did kind of fit in nicely because as you're going to hear in the interview that we do in this episode, the basketball tournament that is coming up this year is benefiting the memory of a comedian that we lost, an organ donation. But last year it benefited wheelchair basketball. We got to see some of the wheelchair basketball players out there on the court. It's wildly impressive. Just even taking out the wheelchair element of it, the shooting on a 10-foot rim from that low to the ground takes a huge amount of upper body strength that I don't think people really appreciate. Do you know anything about wheelchair basketball? Have you been following the Paralympics at all?
I have not been following just because I've had a really hectic couple of weeks, but I do know a couple of people have reached out asking us to cover it. So I was thinking the next time we do a standard episode, and we've been planning to do some interviews for a while, and with travel for both of us, it makes sense for us to do that for the immediate next 2 episodes, like this one and the one after.
Yeah.
But next time we don't do an interview one, I think for that actually happened, I think diving into wheelchair basketball as a whole or the specific run would be cool. So yeah, I've not really followed it. I have seen games in the past, but I have not, I'm not caught up to the speed of like who the major players are, what countries are good, what players on our team are good. But it's something I'm definitely interested in because every time I watch it, I agree. It's very impressive. It's cool. It's fun. And I am, glad that it is gaining popularity and people are starting to watch it with this time around for the Paralympics with all the different streaming options making it so easy. Seems like more eyeballs are going to get on it, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. So our answer is kind of a partial answer, which is like, we're talking about that we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get there. But now we can get into full court press. Get it like the news?
I do.
So there's still a few things going on. WNBA is back after the Olympic break. So the playoffs are coming into picture. We're having teams clinch the playoffs. So it's starting to become a little clear who's going to make it into the playoffs, who's going to be some of the major players. So at the top of the league, you've got Liberty Sun Lynx and Aces kind of showing themselves as the top 4. My Storm have fell a little bit. The Fever have like skyrocketed. They are doing quite well. They are now 6th overall in the rankings.
Yeah, and Caitlin Clark went bonkers against the Sky in their most recent game against them.
Yeah, she has been playing really well, and Angel Reese has been playing really well. The Sky are not doing as well record-wise, but Angel Reese has already set the record for rebounds by a rookie. She's been setting records with like 20 games and 20 rebound games. And obviously, some of the records are getting a little wonky because the WNBA keeps adding games to the season. Like Jewel Lloyd currently has the record for most points in a season. I think that was largely benefited by there being more games last season.
But even if you look based on average and not total, it's still pretty overwhelming.
Right. Like whatever Angel Reese is doing, no matter how you look at it, very good. So that's been fun. The rivalry's been very fun between the two of them. I think I saw a stat somewhere that was like some ridiculously high percentage of flagrant fouls called this season have been during Fever versus Sky games. And a lot of those have been on Caitlin Clark by players on the Sky. So it's getting chirpy. It's setting like that is going to be a rivalry for years to come, which is very exciting, especially for us. And then the playoffs will be really fun. I think it's going to be interesting. You've got those teams at the top, but then you have some other teams that are still spicy, and you can't really count out any of them, especially just because with the playoffs, some of the early series are only like best of 3. So wild things can happen. So I'm very excited to see how the WNBA playoffs work out once they begin, which is coming up.
Speaking of which, my girlfriend just bought tickets for this coming Sunday. I'll be out of town, but she has a friend of hers visiting and another friend of ours who lives in the building who's a big hoops fan. Tickets to the Liberty Aces game on Sunday, which is going to be really, really fun. I'm very jealous.
That's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be a playoff primer. That's going to be really fun. And there's other fun stuff happening just with the league returning. Most notably, I think the most fun thing that happened recently is that Kalia Copper, who we talked about in the last episode, since she balled out during the 4th quarter of the championship game, Kalia is on the Phoenix Mercury. She used to be on the Chicago Sky. She was part of that championship team. She won finals MVP, absolutely balled out. But then I don't know exactly what happened with her not returning to the Sky. I don't know if like she wanted to come back. I think she just didn't re-sign with them. I don't think it was like a trade away thing, but I think it was like a timeline thing where the Sky were kind of looking for more rebuild mode as opposed to be good now. But regardless, the Mercury were playing the Sky, and Kalia Copper wore her own jersey from when she was on the Sky to the game, like as her pregame fit, and then dropped a ton of points in a win over the Sky. It was such a cool, like, you better play well move, and then she absolutely showed out. I just respect it so much.
Speaking of locker room outfits, did you see the Asia Wilson thing that people were posting about today?
I did not know. I've been traveling, so I missed it.
So yeah, I guess the Aces have been scuffling of late, or like the past couple games. And
they also had a lot of their team in the Olympics, so I get it. I think they sent like 5 people on the Aces were on Olympic teams. Nuts.
Something like that. But in any case, Asia Wilson, the past couple games, has just been wearing like what appears to be like a crusty white t-shirt in the locker room photo area, and people asked her about it, and she was like, I'm like not worried about what I'm wearing right now. I'm worried about us winning games. So when we start winning games again, I'll start working on fancy outfits, but until then I'm throwing on a white t-shirt.
And she did get posted on social media by dem Franchize boys who sing White Tee, and because I think she made the caption at least somewhere in my White Tee, which is part of the song, and then they like shared it. So it all works out. You get to do low effort, and then you get to be, you know, noticed by dem Franchize boys. Not just any Franchize boys, but dem Franchize boys. That's pretty good.
And I mean, she is a franchise player, so that makes sense.
She is. She really is. So I did look up the Kalia Copper thing just to be certain. And she was traded, which makes this way better. So she was traded by the Sky for draft stuff. So kind of in that similar rebuild type move, but she was told, please leave. She had spent 7 seasons on the Chicago Sky, won the championship.
She was the finals MVP when they won the championship.
Correct, but was traded away and then wore her own jersey to the game and then scored 29 points, 13 in the first quarter, and the Mercury beat the Sky by 20 points.
It's been a lot of gold for Miss Copper of late.
Hey, they definitely made that joke on the broadcast at least once, and they had. It's just one of those, like, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And as far as like other quick things that have happened recently, Steph Curry signed a big extension where he's going to be making $62 million in his last year with the Warriors. And like,
yeah, that's just for 1 year, by the way.
Yeah, that's just 1 year. It was this weird, like, however the thing worked out, that's like the max extension sort of thing that they could do for him. So he has continued to be with them. And then there was a really funny thing where LeBron did a live version of The Shop, which is one of the shows that he makes, and they did it at the Olympics. And he had a very funny quote where he was saying that his son, who's on his team, he said, quote, "Bronny can't call me dad in the workplace. He got to call me 2-3 or Braun or Goat if he wants to. Can't be running down the court like, Dad, I'm open," which is so
That's
funny.
very funny.
It's really, really funny because I can see that instinct. Thankfully, I call my dad by his first name enough that I would be able to switch and say Joel instead of Dad. But I wonder if it'll slip out one time. Like, it's got to slip out at least once.
Well, my favorite joke when Bronny was drafted was somebody tweeted like, "Wow, this is horrible. It looks like LeBron has slept with one of his teammates' moms." And it took people like way too long to figure out that they just meant his son's mom.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But there's still fun stuff going around in the leagues right now. There's some, fun stuff happening WNBA wise in the actual season. Off-season stuff continues for the NBA. And as we mentioned, Paralympics wheelchair hoops are going on. So never a bad time to be a hoops fan. Never a bad time.
Indeed. Shall we get to the interview?
Let's get to the interview.
All right. Yeah.
You want to just very briefly tee it up because I think we'll explain it enough in the actual interview.
Yeah, absolutely. We did an interview with a buddy of mine, Joel Walkowski. I know him from the comedy world, but he runs a yearly 3-on-3 tournament that this year has taken on some extra meaning in the wake of a lot of us losing a dear member of the comedy community. So it's a very funny, fun, and also heartfelt interview that I think you folks will enjoy. All right. As promised, we have a very special guest on the podcast today. I've known this guy for, I would say, well over a decade. A great buddy of mine from the comedy community. I would say arguably more so from the comedy basketball community. But he is the founder of, in my opinion, the greatest basketball tournament that ever exists. And you can come for me, Ice Cube, if you want to. It's the founder of the Big Walkowski basketball tournament. Joel Walkowski joins the pod. Joel, how's it going, man?
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mike. Great to be here. It's, I'm just taking time from my busy office as the czar of comedy basketball. If you have 5 minutes of material and you want to play basketball across the country, I am your guy. That is my role in life. That's my little niche I carved out. So it's good to be here and busy time of the year for me, as you well know.
It is a very busy time. Listen, I feel like there are worse credits to have as being the basketball czar of the comedy community. I mean, we have a rat czar who makes six figures in this godforsaken city. So
yeah, I think it's equivalent to like Kimmel.
Sure, know? I think definitely better than Corden, equivalent to Kimmel.
Yeah.
But Joel, before we get into the basketball tournament that you've done for now, I assume it's got to be a decade plus.
This is number 8. It is a decade, but COVID hit us hard.
That's true, yes.
We took a year off, so we're only at the 8th one.
I think we should be applauded for not having done a Big Walkowski in 2020. I think that probably was a good call.
Yeah, I did play against my wife's aunt in the driveway, and she called the Big Walkowski, but it wasn't the same, right? Like, no, it didn't have the pageantry.
That's the small Walkowski. That's not big.
The Smallkowski, if you will.
I think you have a distinction. I think you have the most appearances outside of anyone but me. I think you might be 7.
I think this coming year is the first year that I will ever not be there, it's painful for me, but I'm doing my best to cope with it. Now, before we get to the tournament and how that all originated, I should mention most people are listening and not watching this. Joel is framed beautifully with a Cade Cunningham jersey framed behind his head. Joel, we've had your buddy Nate on the show to defend the Pistons half of the Pistons-Pacers brawl. I think it was him and Tom Takar, but you are probably the biggest Detroit fan I know. Tell us a little bit about where you come from, your love of basketball, your love of Detroit sports. How did it all begin in the life of Joel Walkowski?
I was born in the mid 80s and in Detroit, and there was an ascendant team and a bunch of really hard scrabble blue collar uncles who didn't point out Isaiah Thomas. They didn't point out Joe Dumars. They said, look at Lambier and Mahorn. So I've often been described as like a bear falling down the stairs when I play. Like that's the playing style. But I'm a thug out there. If you've seen Isaiah Stewart play, you've seen me play, and I've never been good. Like Adam is a beautiful athlete. He has handles. He has shot creation. He can create his own look. I'm just trying really hard. So you could see, like, how they have those like negative clips of like a player's highlights. You're like, guess the player. If you did that to me, if you just watched me play basketball, you could guess the city I am from.
It is a very hard-nosed brand of basketball. I would say, you and I have been playing both in the tournament and in the pickup game that you've run for a long time, for certainly 10 years. You are probably the player I would be least likely to take a charge from. Not that anyone should be taking charges in that game anyway, but like there's no shot I would get in front of you.
Yeah, I just bowled to the hoop, and like I know if I miss the layup, I'll probably just rebound. So it's just getting rebounds.
Yeah, you've got a real Angel Reese type game. You're a lot of rebounding your own misses and padding those stats, putting it up.
Because we're the only two Jalen Duren supporters left.
That might be true. Now, did you play football growing up? Because like to me, you play basketball like a football player, and I don't mean that as an insult. It's just like you play a very hard brand of basketball.
This is the shameful thing that no one would expect. I was an art kid. So my high school had the best like public school video program, and I was like, that's my scholarship. That's my way out. So I went all in on that, and I got a scholarship to USC. I played a little JV basketball, and I played AAU, but I was like, that's my ticket. So I was very like goal oriented from a young age.
Yeah, and USC, not exactly the kind of school where you just casually walk on to the sports teams.
Yeah, I didn't have like Lori Loughlin lying on my behalf. I did try out for USC football. I made it past 2 cuts, having never played organized ball before.
Cool.
I'm just gigantic. Like you can't tell from my like nasally Michigan accent. I am extremely large.
You're a thick fella. I'll give you that. You're
corn-fed.
Yes. You're very sturdy. There's no question about it. So growing up, other than being an art kid, when did basketball come into your life? Was it more like you watched the Pistons growing up and fell in love with it that way, or did you also play just for fun with people in the neighborhood and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I always played, and basketball was my first word. I always loved the sport. It'll be my last word because I'm pretty sure I'll be killed over a gambling debt. But I was good, but because I was such an art kid, they wouldn't put me on the varsity team. So I had this chip on my shoulder. So I would build 3-on-3 teams of my friends, and I would play 3 guys from the varsity team for money. And I always was. So like, I just had that sort of like organize a game that I'll probably win from a very young age.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Am I misremembering that there was a moment where you were on like a local TV news station playing basketball against high schoolers or something like that?
You're not misremembering. I was in Louisville, Kentucky with the great Jake Head. We were promoting some shows that night, and to surprise us, they brought out a hoop and 2 members of their local high school team to play us live on morning TV.
Wild.
The game ended when Jake's jump shot hit the garage door opener and broke it. But
let's go.
It was in front of 30 children. So, and I imagine that many people watching. But yeah, I did play that's my TV credit.
I like that. If you do have that footage, we'll definitely share it on our episode page so that people can see the glory of it. So talk about the Big Walkowski, because like I feel like I first got to know you through the comedy scene, and then by extension there's still like an ongoing pickup game that it's largely comedians. It happens every Sunday. It's happened for as long as I can remember. I am not as active as I once was, but like how did that start, and then where did the idea for the Big Walkowski come from?
Yeah, and I think basketball and comedy, they go hand in hand. Like, I think comedians generally have a lot of time to fill during the day, and there's nothing more natural than going to shoot around. So it started with like weekend games in Bushwick, and then we started renting a court. And it's a little bit like I'm a recovering addict. I stopped drinking right as I was turning 30, and I was like, oh, what should I want to do something big for 30. And then Jake and we put on a 3-on-3 tournament, and that was the first big Walkowski. It was all comedians. They came out to our little court in Bushwick. We picked our teams, and it was just a hit. So, and it's I know my name's on the thing, but like it's become a big thing just because if someone has an idea for growing it or incorporating it, like I always try and include them, and like doing that year after year, it's gotten a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure I was at the first one, but thinking of where it started and where it is now, where it's like, full on uniforms, national anthem before the game, people there, filming the content and taking photographs and all of that. Like, I don't remember that being the case the first time around. Maybe it was, but like, yeah, I'm sure it wasn't.
No. It was just dudes in sneakers. Like it a little bit more every year. I will eventually replace the big three. Like that's the end goal of this.
I think you should. Who are some of the most notable alumni of the game? Because I feel like we've had some people from the New York comedy community who like weren't famous at the time and are now pretty famous. I know there's certainly been like SNL people. Have you had any particularly notable hoopers come out?
The best game of my life. It was a semifinal in maybe like 2018. I lit up Ben Marshall from Please Don't Destroy. Like, he said that to me before the game, and I destroyed that dude on the court. And Ben is like amazing. He's 6'7". He can dunk. He can handle.
That tall? He's the redheaded guy, right?
Yeah, and he's an incredible basketball player. I think he just goes to see Nick Nurse talk for fun, which is a weird thing to do. But yeah, Ben, and then of course Devin Walker won a championship. Andrew Dismukes comes out year after year. So it is like a lot of the SNL offshoots.
Yeah. Now, my memory of the tournament is that it started as like, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. I don't want to say like frivolous, but there was not always like a charity component of it that I remember. So like, how did it originate from objectively offensive uniforms into something now that is like very positive, helping the community? Like, what is that reflective of your personal growth? Did somebody inspire this? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah, and Adam is referring to the time we had a tournament on September 11th, and like it was the fifth one, and I made the two towers make the V because Roman numerals.
It was not a well-received uniform by anyone other than the people involved in it, but
yeah, like anyone with a job reversed him.
Yeah,
but I think that was actually the year because there was all this rallying around it, and it was like, oh, we have all this concentrated energy and enthusiasm, and like granted it's like a fairly narcissistic thing, and like it felt very wasteful not to channel that towards something. So
yeah,
I've kind of gotten my life together. I'm like an addiction counselor. I got a great job these days, so I'm doing a little bit better every year, and the tournament's done the same. So last year we decided we would raise money for a wheelchair basketball team, local, great cause, and like we always do something fun to set the draft lottery. We found their best shooter, and we had all the captains, they guessed how many threes he would make. So last year, I think we raised like $6,000 for this team. They bought like 2 wheelchairs off it. It funded travel to like 1 or 2 tournaments. So it was great. And then this year, the comedy community had some really harrowing, dark, real circumstances hit it. Like, we talk about the first tournament, like at that first tournament, like we had to take the course from the local guys, and we had to play them. And Kenny DeForest, RIP, he beat the local guys at the court, and we were able to keep the court and have our tournament, all thanks to him just being an incredible player.
Yeah. So to give everybody listening a little context, the comedy community lost, I like truly one of the best people that I've ever met. Like people always say that after somebody passes, and sometimes it's bullshit. Kenny was like, he was that dude. He was the sort of guy that even if you knew him like casually through comedy or through basketball, like everybody felt like his best friend. And he unfortunately passed away this past December in a bicycle accident here in New York City. But in his passing, he was an organ donor and helped to save. Is it 5 people? Like
five people, 7 organs. So in light of that, I went ahead and I got 501c status. Because like when Kenny passed, like my dad was going through some stuff. I was alone. So I was like, oh, I should do something positive. So I did all the paperwork that I needed to do. So now we're able to do corporate sponsorships and scale it up a little bit. So this year we are benefiting the Live On NYC, who handles organ donation logistics, and we're having on-site sign up for organ donation there. Not to spoil it, but I am having JP McDade slam dunk a kidney to kick off the proceedings. Organ donation is a slam dunk, that sort of thing.
Sure. So, well, and also accommodating the fact that JP can't dunk a regular basketball anymore. So it's nice of you to do that for me.
Yeah. And of course we gave Kenny like the Jerry West treatment. You mentioned the uniforms.
Yeah.
There's like a famous picture of Kenny in his Drury College uniform that we used as like the Jerry West. So all the jerseys have like a little patch over the heart with like a silhouette of him. I think that's nice.
Yeah, because Kenny, we should give context also, like, great comedian, also an extremely good basketball player. Like, he played basketball in college. He actually, I think it was high school, he played with Anthony Tolliver.
Yeah, and Anthony Tolliver he recorded a video for us. He's announcing the different matchups before the tournament, and, like, he said some really sweet, heartfelt things. So just trying to incorporate it as best I can. I made sure the first jerseys I got went right to Kenny's parents. So, like, just trying to honor him in our ways. And, like, there is a personal touch to this. Like, I think Kenny was the measuring stick for me and many other people. Mm-hmm. But after he passed, like, everyone knows I won the first Big Walkowski. Was going through a breakup, getting sober as a bitch. And I played Kenny in the finals. And after he passed, I found out he let me win that first championship. Like, he's like, Jason Burke told me, another great player. He's like, yeah, we thought you really needed it. It was Kenny's idea. So Kenny took a dive for me in this first tournament, and I didn't learn until after he passed. So that's my way of passing it forward and like making sure I
just got one of those big lumps in my throat hearing that. God damn, that's awesome.
Wow.
I'll gladly take the asterisk on that one. This is the only circumstance that we're like, yeah, that title's fraudulent, but yeah, it's a great deal.
But that's, that completely tracks. Like, that sounds like exactly the sort of thing that it's really, that's awesome. How many times have you won? I feel like you've won a not insignificant percentage, and people always want to make their claims. They say stop the steal, but Joel, he's won a number of times.
I've won 3. But, the bad part about this tournament, it takes place near my birthday. So I am a little older every year. And I feel like McConaughey and Dazed and Confused, like, these players, they stay the same age. Like, there's always some 27-year-old who's heard my name and just is gunning for me. So now I just get fouled all the time.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I've certainly planned to continue playing in the future. I've kept myself in pretty good shape, but I am a little afraid that last year might have been my last first round pick year. I think I was like the last pick of the first round last year, and the writing's on the wall, Joel.
Yeah, but it's better to be a role player in this. And like, I don't win because I'm the best player. I win because I have a set position. It's easy to build around me. I just need a guard who I can set screens for. Like, I call myself Draymond Greenpoint. I'm just out there looking for my Steph Curry.
Draymond Greenpoint.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Gosh. We love a local reference.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think there was only one year that I was a captain. That's the year I picked Kenny, actually, as my top pick. And I'll never do it again. I had the least fun that year because everybody was like annoyed at me because they didn't play the amount they wanted to, and I was like, you know what? Somebody else can draft me. It's too much.
And you had a weird bad bracket draw, right? Didn't your team not show up or something? So you had a second round bye, but then you had to play for it somehow. There was
there was some shenanigans going on, but you know what? Hey, I've never won. I've never won, been on the winning team, so I'll keep playing until that happens.
But that year was a mess. To those who don't know,
oh my God,
we got a permit for Brooklyn Bridge Park. There are 2 Brooklyn Bridge Parks next to each other. One of them is the most beautiful court in the city. It's on the water. It's covered, so there was no weather risk. The other is a pothole-riddled court underneath a highway overpass, and that's the one we got.
The one that we ended up playing on, we all like made this like group pilgrimage from these beautiful courts where we thought we would be to these courts that could be best described as condemned. I mean, like it felt the way the courts looked felt like a Stefan SNL. Like these courts have everything: potholes, rats, human feces. Like just a complete debacle. The fact that nobody, well, maybe it did happen. I don't remember anyone getting like severely hurt, but I was definitely afraid of playing on those courts.
That tournament is why we have a doctor on site too. Like my favorite picture from last year is like someone's getting stitches while holding a baby. So there's all these like sweet moments within this competitive framework. And like, that's just the sort of thing it's become.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool part of it too. As someone, I mean, you and I are roughly the same age. Like to go from the first tournament where a lot of people were still in their like heavy drinking / single days to now like people are there with their kids in strollers and everybody's still out there with a lot more knee pads and a lot more ibuprofen, but still getting after it.
Yeah, doctor's the first pick off the board. Like we need him to have a tournament.
So I think you told me before we recorded that the goal for this year, if you care to share it, you're hoping to get to $10,000 for.
Yep,
for the charity,
I am.
Right?
I am hoping to get to $10,000. Last year we raised $5,000, and like General Motors was very my employer. They were very cool about. They've got a good like charitable giving program. I've talked to the hospital that handled the organ donations, and like. I think they're going to help get us there, but I think 10K is a reasonable goal. Yeah. And like with Live On there, I hope it just like raises awareness. And like, apart from the money, if like 5 or 6 people sign up to donate, you know, that's the big win right there. Like we've seen the power that like a donation can have and how it can like create a legacy. So if we get a handful of those, that would be awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I think when you think about Kenny's legacy, like, for most people, being an organ donor or not is a literal box that you just decide to check when you get your license, and it can make that decision can make a huge impact. And like, I'm an organ donor. I have been since I have been able to sign up for it. And I know people have this weird incorrect attitude about like, well, if I sign up to be an organ donor, like they're not going to take as good of care of me if something happens in the hospital. It's completely.
There's people that think that. That's
yes,
nuts.
There are people that think that and don't sign up for that reason because they're like, if I'm an organ donor, they won't try to save my life and they want to give like it's a ludicrous fallacy that is not in any way based in reality. So if you're someone listening to this and you think that, like, look into it. I promise that's not what's happening. And like, if you're like Kenny, it's obviously it's horrible that he's not here anymore, but there are 5 people whose lives are bettered and arguably like were able to continue because of his generosity. So
yeah, and the organization, like they do a great job of trumpeting Kenny's like gift. Like I think they organized a march that went around NYU, and as soon as I brought it up to him, like they've really brought out every resource I need for this year. Like I think they're trying to get us a little press, and like I don't want to jinx it, but I think one of the Knicks is coming for like the
wait, which Nick?
The worst Nick.
Okay. Jacob Toppin?
If he hears this, he's not going to come. But Tyler Kolek is supposedly going to come down. Star of Summer League. It just kind of like, you know, kiss the ring in that form. So really, it's become like a rallying point in the community where like local businesses are giving stuff. I bring everyone back to my house and like I grill afterwards. So everyone just really helps me out with it. Like my name's on the thing, but really it's a reflection of this really wonderful community we're all a part of.
Yeah, I love that. So we'll obviously share links and everything like that. But if anybody listening wants to help donate to the cause or find out more about the organization, what's the best way for people to do that?
We have a good relationship with the Zeffy fundraising platform where we have like an About Us on the donation page. Like Zeffy, they're cool. They're like, it's not like GoFundMe where a percentage of the donations go to like a corporation. They keep 0% and they helped me scale up to a 501c. They handled everything. And like, it's such a weird thing to come across their desk. They're like, what is this? And when I told them, they became huge proponents.
That's
so
awesome.
I'll give you the link for that for sure.
Okay. Cool.
We'll put that in the description of the episode. So if people want to check that out, we'll put it on the website as well. I also will just say, having a conversation where we're talking about organ donation a lot and then talking about organizations, they like the organ donation platform. They got to make a lot of organization puns in their corporate emails, right?
I mean, if not, it's a real missed opportunity.
Like they got to have a lot of internal memos where it's like underlined, italicized. Like they got to have t-shirts, right? Like, come on, they have to, and they can't use any synonym for organization. Like they can't be, a foundation or a charity. Like it's always got to be an organization.
Well, now you got my wheels turning. I should be like old Chicago Stadium and have an organ player.
I like that.
Just go all in on Oregon. Yeah. The Knicks do it where they have the organ player learn the like top 40 songs, and then you get to hear the organ version of that at the games. You could just, oh my God, hire an organist.
Yeah. I think the way to do it is it's a little impractical to get a full pipe organ over to a basketball court, but you get a little keyboard, you put it on the organ setting. We must know somebody who can play keyboard well enough to play that like little ditties during the games.
You know who you could get? You could get Billy Corgan to play the organ for the organization at the organ donation basketball tournament.
Yo, that's a bar. That's a bar right there.
And that affirms our Chicago connections. And like, it killed me this year. Like we used the Chicago Bulls font on the jersey. Like, I don't know if you noticed
Only for
that.
Kenny. Yes, of course.
Only for Kenny. And like, that pained me. I didn't want to do that. So I'll have the organ player, Billy Corgan, learn Sirius.
I think you have to. I mean, it's the only way.
Is that's the Chicago
Yeah. Which
Nice.
they did rip off. Pistons were doing Final Countdown 2 years before the Bulls premiered that.
Yeah.
So they ripped off the idea of the like dramatic hype up song, not necessarily like they didn't rip the same song. It was just the pageantry of the now you're starting five. Yeah.
Yeah, but granted, it was a pretty good idea. Like if you see if you see a guy with a wheel, he's not going to be like, "Yeah, this is mine. You can't use that." Although I think I just described how patents work.
I was going to say,
true.
sounds like patents.
Well, the Bulls in the early 90s, the Bulls used a different song that everybody knows, but like nobody hears anymore. It's the one that's like, na, 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 hey. But that is not a song that you hear anymore for reasons that you can Google, but just know that it's valid.
There's a reason they use that in Joker.
Yeah.
And you can see that song performed live in Thailand anytime you want.
Yeah. So put the pieces
I'm
together
so
on what
intrigued
Joel
now. I'm
is,
going to have to Google this.
implying.
Is it so bad that we can't talk about it here and now?
I mean, suffice to say that that song is probably going to be sponsored by Jared from Subway. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
So
Great.
that's why that is a song you don't hear anymore. But to circle all the way back, it truly speaks to the person that Kenny DeForest was, that a person who actively hates the Bulls and Chicago sports, from what I understand, is willing to do that.
It's not even just as a Detroit guy. Like my favorite players growing up were Charles Barkley and another member of this all-star team, Karl Malone.
Yeah.
So like those are my guys.
Yeah. We're much bigger on Barkley on this pod than we are Karl Malone. We're out on Karl Malone. He can listen to that song.
Yeah, the big hot take. We're not big Karl Malone fans over here.
But that's awesome, Matt. Is there anything else that you want to share about the tournament or the charity or anything like that before we let you go?
Well, I don't know when this comes out live, but if you're around New York, September 7th, like come drop in at American Playground. We always have a handful of last minute spots available. Like check in at 11 a.m. We have a concert going on. My wife is playing with John Lampley of OAR. They're doing a national anthem round ball rock medley that I'm pretty stoked about.
I should also mention Joel's wife, an incredible singer. I believe behind you have Kate Cunningham, and then also a poster of your wife opening for Jewel. So
yeah, and the poster, they made my wife and Jewel the same size, which I can't imagine Jewel was thrilled about that.
I appreciate the context because the whole time on this call, I'm like, okay, there's basketballs in the background. I get it. There's a Cade Cunningham jersey. I get it. Also, Jewel is here.
So I would have taken you for more of a Jewel Lloyd guy than a Jewel guy, but you know.
Ooh, man, she just had a great game the other night. I was very stoked. But I guess before we leave, because we talked about your fandom and Steph, the Pistons are in a strange situation right now where, you know, it's not necessarily the best, but you seem like an optimistic kind of guy. What is your forecast for the lowly, middling, I guess not middling, bottom-feeding Detroit Pistons? Yeah, bottom-feeding.
And
Detroit
that's a question. Do you believe in coaching at all? Does coaching matter? Because last year's Pistons saw the worst coaching job in the history of the NBA. Monty Williams, he didn't want to coach basketball. He was on the record for that, and we just paid him and paid him and paid him. And he still didn't coach basketball. So you have Ivy, Azar, Duran. None of these players were used correctly. And I do think Cade is like a heliocentric, like good foundational piece. So I think I'll say 36 wins, actually. I'm kind of high. Like 21-year-olds get better at basketball. Like if you told me 3 years ago you got Azar Thompson, Cade Cunningham, and Jaden Ivey, I would be thrilled. Like those are as good as prospects get. They're not going to be terrible forever. The infrastructure's terrible, and the Pistons are, you know, are they a well-run business? Probably not. I don't know if you've looked into the Pistons ownership. Like it's kind of an ethical gray area to root for the team.
Oh,
so
geez. Who are they owned by?
They're owned by Tom Gores, who made his money from prison telecommunications, which is not the best way to earn a living, right?
Yikes.
But it's also like that you extort the people. You're not going to become a good businessman in that realm. So I don't think he has like the strategic mind to run a basketball team. If whoever ran Chipotle operations bought a team, I'm betting the over immediately. Like that team is going to be great. Like
that would actually be fun if the way they found new NBA owners was they like, well, you took this tiny company and you took a big bet on some young workers, and then they overachieved expectations. It's like, oh, let's get this person in charge of a basketball organization.
Yeah, but it can't be worse, right? Like, if I feel like I'm the CEO of Ocean Gate and like I'm launching a submarine voyage, like it's not going to be as bad as the last one. Like I promise you that. Everyone knows how the last one went. This one will be fine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, whatever became of Killian Hayes? Is he just like out?
He was waived, and
he's a net.
The Nets
are trying to tank. So
they're like, if we pair Killian Hayes with Ben Simmons, you got a real strong team there.
The Nets roster is, if you really like a underdog story, or you just never, if you've held on to every stock you've ever purchased and you just want to see things blue, if you went through puberty late in life, watch the Brooklyn Nets. It's just a whole like, maybe they'll figure it out, the team, while they try to actively lose basketball games. But like, what if Killian just figures it out, you know?
I don't think that's happening, my friend.
I'm not betting on it. Yeah, I'm not betting on it. The saddest thing about this whole conversation is that as a Bulls fan, I still feel like the Pistons arguably have a stronger future than the Bulls do right now, and that kills me.
Yeah, and I do have beef with Zach LaVine, so I'm happy to see it. Well, when I was getting my MBA, I had an internship at a cannabis company, and I was researching cannabis consumption lounges, and I was taking photos of like a good underground one as a model for the operation. A certain overpaid shooting guard happened to be at the lounge.
1, 2, 3.
At that same point. I wasn't taking pictures of him, but his security took my phone away. They deleted all my pictures. And this was right before the Olympics. So
so
they were running a tight ship there. He didn't want to be implicated, but Zach LaVine's security, they took my phone away when I was just trying to be a good little intern. Like it didn't seem that fair.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and defend Zach LaVine. I wouldn't have anyway, but especially now, I don't think I can do it.
You don't need to defend him. His ligaments are gone. You could just leave him there.
I think if I'm gonna let my conspiracy brain take hold, you mentioned you're a USC alum. I happen to know that Zach went to UCLA. I think maybe it was an intentional attempt at a smear campaign, Joel.
I probably would have smeared him if I
given the opportunity.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna do it, but if it fell into my lap, I wasn't gonna say no. You can't just turn down the opportunity to smear a potential rival.
Yeah, I'm always jealous of those guys who can dunk and shoot threes. Like, how many blessings do you need? Like, just seems unfair to me.
Share the wealth. Let the rest of us have something.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was trying to take down Zach LaVine. I'm playing the long game here.
Joel, as we said, we'll put all the links to the relevant stuff in the episode description. Thank you so much for taking the time, telling us about the tournament and the organization and what good they're putting into the world, and then also talking some Pistons stuff. And then Adam, I know you can't make it this year, but maybe we try to make it happen next year. That would be fun. I just had a kid, so I probably can't go. And by I mean my wife had a kid, and I was also there. But I would.
No, you're definitely
let's do it.
It's a lot of comedians, but it's also like other people and just friends of folks. Like you're more than welcome. We'll definitely do that next year.
Yeah, please come by.
I'll start rehearsing some one-liners and stuff so that I'm sure someone will be like, you got to pass a test to get in. So I'll start coming up with some sick bits for the next year.
Yeah, and I think this is our cause, right? Like, it's not like I'm going to pivot to a different cause. Like, this makes sense. The infrastructure is there. It makes sense with the story. And like, if Kenny didn't take a dive in that first tournament, I don't think it would have become what it was. Like, it was notable because, the guy with his name on it won. And then the next year, like, it kind of built from that. So it's that gesture echoing, illustrating his character. And, if he wanted to be remembered, I think it would be like he would want people to talk about how good he was at basketball, like 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how I want to be remembered.
And it was like, if we swap places, and I think we all kind of put ourselves in Kenny's shoes, everyone would be like, yeah, he could rebound, kind of. he certainly tried hard.
Amazing. Well, Joel, thank you again for taking the time. We appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks. Best of luck with everything. Thanks for having me on, and keep doing great things, Horse.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to this episode 4. Sources hosted by Adam Amawala and Mike Schubert. Our editors, Kensei Saramaki. The music is by Bettina Campomanes. The art's by Alison Wakeman. The website's by Kelly Schubert. And the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry for 3 is now commemorated on a shirt I bought from an Instagram ad. No regrets. Hi, Trish.
Bang!
Jason Derulo.
Through my shirt.
Naked Rachel. Sidney Crosby's a vampire. Chelsea's cousin. Ginger Spurs Boy. Balls to the walls. And Mats Furley. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because
Horse Hoops was run by the person who decided to trade Kalia Copper. And she was like, no way. Getting this account banned.
Fuck around, find out. That's what happens. You can go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to where you can donate if you want to support organ donation organizations. See what we did there? And many, many other things.
Yes, and if you want to support the Horse Boys, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops. You can get access to bonus stuff, ad-free episodes. There is video stuff, audio stuff, writing stuff. You can also go to horsehoops.com/merch, get Sup Nerds shirts and digital items, fun stuff there. But we will conclude this episode, as we always do, putting our hands in the middle and saying something on the count of 3. Do we want to do something to wish everyone luck at the tournament or pay homage to what they're supporting? What are you thinking for the?
Yeah, you know what? Let's keep it simple. How about a Kenny Forever on 3?
Love that. Kenny Forever on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Kenny forever.